The world watched as Meghan Markle stepped out of the Queen's Rolls-Royce at St George's Chapel on May 19, 2018. The sun shone on Windsor Castle, and a modern fairy tale seemed to unfold. An American actress marrying a British prince. Hope for a new, inclusive monarchy. The ceremony blended cultures. A gospel choir sang "Stand By Me," and the couple's joy was infectious. For a moment, happily ever after felt guaranteed. But royal fairy tales are never simple. Whispers of tension began almost immediately. The British press, once enamored, turned critical. Every move Meghan made was scrutinized, every choice questioned. The dream of a harmonious royal family started to fracture. The couple, once the monarchy's brightest stars, faced protocol, pressure, and public opinion. They wanted to do things differently, but the firm had its own rules. Harry, haunted by memories of his mother, saw warning signs. The optimism of their wedding day faded into unease and isolation. They needed a sanctuary, a place to escape the scrutiny. The Queen offered them Frogmore Cottage on the Windsor estate. On the surface, it was a charming gift for the new Duke and Duchess of Sussex, but Frogmore would soon become a symbol of everything going wrong. What was meant to be a haven, for Meghan, felt like something else entirely. Frogmore Cottage wasn't a palace or a grand castle. It was a Grade 2 listed property divided into 5 rundown staff apartments. The Queen's gift was presented as a blank canvas for Harry and Meghan's family home, secluded and private. But controversy erupted over the extensive renovations funded by the sovereign grant. Public money. The reported £2.4 million cost sparked outrage. Headlines painted the couple as extravagant and entitled, ignoring that royal renovations with public funds were standard. The damage was done. But cost was only part of the story. Meghan reportedly saw the cottage as a mockery, a stark contrast to other royals' grand homes. It wasn't a palace or even a palace apartment, it was a cottage. The name itself seemed to diminish their status. To Meghan, unfamiliar with royal nuances, it felt like a slight. It was as if they were being pushed aside, given a home reflecting a lesser role. Windsor, while beautiful, was outside the central hub of royal life. Living at Kensington Palace would have kept them at the heart of the action. Moving to Windsor created both physical and symbolic distance. Was this a deliberate move to manage the Sussex problem, or just a practical solution? For Harry and Meghan, the lines were blurry. The cottage, meant as a sanctuary, started to feel like a gilded cage. The fairy tale was unraveling. To understand Frogmore, look at William and Kate's home apartment 1A at Kensington Palace. Despite the name, it's a grand 4-story, 20-room residence in central London. It's a home fit for a future king and queen, steeped in history and royal tradition. The contrast with Frogmore Cottage is stark. Frogmore, though charming, is a different class. 5 bedrooms, not 20 rooms, and set in Windsor's quiet countryside. For Meghan, this difference was impossible to ignore. William and Kate, the heirs, got the prime real estate. Harry and Meghan, the spares, got a cottage on the outskirts. The physical separation mirrored the growing emotional distance between the brothers. Kensington Palace is the monarchy's epicenter. Living there means being at the core. Frogmore represents a quieter, more private existence on the periphery. For the Sussexes, being positioned on the edge felt like a strategy to contain their influence. It sent a message. Their role was secondary. The plan for a united Fab Four at Kensington Palace dissolved as tensions grew. The move to Windsor was a public acknowledgement that the dream was over. The choice of homes was a statement about status and the future of the monarchy. One path led to the throne, the other to a cottage in Windsor. Was Meghan's feeling that Frogmore was a mockery entitlement or an astute observation of royal hierarchy? From the outside, a multi-million-pound home on the Queen's estate is an incredible privilege. The public saw complaints as ungrateful, but inside the royal bubble, real estate is currency. A direct reflection of your standing. Meghan saw the future king and queen in a palace, while she and Harry got a cottage. It wasn't about size, but symbolism, a supporting role, not a leading one. Harry too felt the sting. A reminder of his position as the spare. The decision reinforced their belief that the institution wouldn't support them as they hoped. They were being managed, not embraced. The palace followed tradition. The heir gets the prime spot, the spare gets secondary placement. For Harry and Meghan, this hierarchy felt restrictive and insulting. Frogmore became the physical embodiment of a deep disconnect. The Frogmore debate exploded in public. The British press and public raged over the renovation cost, accusing Meghan of entitlement. Online critics dissected her every move, fueling hashtags like Megxit. For them, Frogmore complaints were proof of her manipulative nature. On the other side, the Sussex squad defended the couple, seeing the criticism as rooted in racism and double standards. They pointed out that other royals had expensive renovations without similar outrage. For supporters, the focus on Frogmore was a deliberate attempt to diminish Meghan. They saw the move to Windsor as forced exile, not a choice. Online, they fought back, sharing positive stories and defending Meghan's feelings. For them, the cottage was a snub by an archaic system. The Frogmore debate became a symbol of the impossible situation Meghan faced. Criticized no matter what she did, the cottage was at the center of a cultural storm. The dream of a peaceful life at Frogmore was short-lived. Despite the renovation and Archie's birth, pressures mounted. The cottage became a symbol of their unhappiness. In January 2020, Harry and Meghan announced their intention to step back as senior royals. They wanted financial independence and a new life. Their first stop was Canada, but their destination was California. In Montecito, they bought a sprawling estate with their own money, a new beginning on their terms. Here they were not royal spares, but global celebrities and entrepreneurs. The contrast with Frogmore was stark tradition and hierarchy versus freedom and ambition. In California, they controlled their narrative and projects. They repaid the £2.4 million for Frogmore, severing financial ties. Their move was more than a change of address. It was a break from the royal path. Frogmore was left behind, a chapter closed. So, was Frogmore a deliberate setup or just royal tradition misunderstood? There was likely no grand conspiracy, just an ancient system reinforcing hierarchy. Giving the heir a palace and the spare a cottage sent a clear message. The palace wasn't trying to be cruel, it was simply following its rules. For Harry and Meghan, it felt like being put in their place. Frogmore's story mirrors their royal experience, hope, controversy and hurt. It exposed the gap between modern expectations and ancient traditions. In the end, whether Frogmore was a gift or a mockery depends on your perspective. The cottage now sits quietly, a monument to a royal dream that soured. Its story isn't over, and it's up to us to decide what it really means.